Nkosi sikeleli Afrika, maluphakanyisa uphondo lwayo, izwa imithandazo yethu. Nkosi sikelela thina lusapho lwayo.
We are gathered here today to come and recommit ourselves to serve selflessly the citizens of this country.
We know that the Public Service Month is a month that public servants come together and reflect, recommit, rededicate ourselves, and therefore put ourselves into the focus to say, what have we done? How can we do it better? It's not an easy task, colleagues. We know we are called by names. Public servants are corrupt, are lazy, are this, all these perceptions. So it requires us, colleagues, to go back and recommit ourselves to ensure that we go beyond. It's a privilege that you are an employee of government. There are many people today who want to join government. It's not easy.
The program director says that your employer is your partner, nizizweleke. But as partners, we will need to work together. I do not have the solutions to the problems that afflict the public service, and neither do I claim to have the wisdom to respond to all the challenges that are faced by our people on a day-to-day basis in our quest to deliver services to them. But what I do know is that I'm not alone in this job. There are many of you that support the work of government. There are many of you that propel us to be the best that we can. There are many of you who take the hopes and aspirations of our people very, very seriously in the discharge of your work and the mandates of your various departments. I would first like to deal with one issue and dispense of it. There are no people in the public service that are going to be retrenched. There is no plan in this government, Yaga Cyril Ramaphosa, to retrench any individual, whether it's 1, 2, or 30,000 people. There is no such plan. You all know that we come from wage negotiations. What was given to us for wage negotiations was 110. We ended up with 30.2 over and above the 110 that were given. So the difficulty is to claw back to make sure that we are able to find that money in the system so that our commitment to our employees is met. And I am on record as saying that there are many ways in which we can deal with this. It does not only have to be from the compensation of employees' expenditure item, but there are many inefficiencies in the system, whether it's our business processes, it's our systems, it's recklessness, it's lack of performance management. There are many things that point to problems in the system where we can be able to recoup that money and put it in the right direction. Why are managers not effectively managing processes and systems in the public service that lead to the huge numbers that we see at the end of each financial year, as would have been demonstrated through the work of the Auditor General? We can't have a situation where the children of the working class sit at more than 25% in the throes of unemployment. It is not sustainable, guys. It's not sustainable. This is a ticking time bomb. You can't have such a huge number of young people unemployed. We need to be less selfish and more proactive in the way that we deal with the issue of this huge unemployment of young people in our country. My primary objective is to align skills with mandate and need. That's all I want to do. Work with me, guys. This government needs to be effective. We have come a long way for us to regress at the 11th hour. But what I will encourage, because we are looking at bringing the youth into the public sector, not just the public service, is that for those of us, esibadala, the system is open for exit. I'm not going to come to any of you to say, "Ngicela uhambe." I won't do that. But you will come to me to say, "I'm 58. And if I'm not going to be penalized, can I leave the system now?" And I will say, "Yes, you may." But if you have a skill that is critical, I will certainly say no. So it's a balancing act, opening up for young people to come, because these young people can create problems for us. They will create problems for us. But over and above the fact that they could or they will, we have a humanitarian responsibility to our children. But also put your shoes in that community that sees that only boy who has even gone to tertiary, and they look up to him. He comes back, he has got no job. What are the children in that community going to say? There's no point in going to school. You will never be employed anyway. Which then also speaks to the fact that government and the private sector can't absorb all of these children that are unemployed. As government, we have a fundamental responsibility to open opportunities for young people. Ningathi mabathola amathenda bese senifuna ukuthi banibhadale before you process their invoice. Don't do that. You get a salary. This poor child is trying to make a living for himself. And I can tell you, if it's a black child, he's making a living for himself and his community and his extended family. And you still want him to pay you so that you can process the invoice. You are paid to process his invoice. You're not doing him a favor. We have spoken at length about the radical socio-economic transformation. Now, when you talk radical socio-economic transformation, it starts here amongst you. You are the decision makers. It's not the ministers that are decision makers. Mina, I'm happy to drive policy and wait for the DDG, the DG, and the DDGs to implement, because I don't interfere in their work. I don't care who they give tenders to. I don't want to know names. All I want to know is that the tenders are going to deserving people, number one, and that as these tenders go out, they address the issue of radical socio-economic transformation. Open opportunities for business for our children to get into the system. Every child is my child. And so every child is your child too. Give us suggestions. Because sometimes the system is so rigid that it makes it impossible for us to maneuver. Not for purposes of corruption, but only for the purpose of helping our people to realize their dreams and their aspirations. Judge people on the basis of what they implement and what they deliver, not on what they can give you after they have been paid from their invoice. And you see, in general, public servants are good people. It's only a few that make all of us look bad. Let us expose those that make us look bad. Don't be tolerant of deviant behavior. We're all employed for a particular objective and a particular responsibility. Let's discharge on that. And if these systems are making it very difficult for us to help our people to realize the hopes and their aspirations, let's talk. Tell us what is difficult in the system that makes you unable to move at a fast pace. But I'm also on record as having said, we should also treat you with dignity. As ministers, deputy ministers, MECs, premiers, councillors, we need to treat those that work for us and work with us with respect. We as the public service must be the provider, must be the choice provider of goods and services to the public. Our water from Rand Water, from Umgeni Water and everywhere else must be better than bottled water. We need to provide better services than the private sector. And I can guarantee you we can. But why are we not? And I can go through a whole host of things that the private sector and the public sector offer. But when you look at standard coming from the private sector, we are bad. And the reason why we are bad is because of you sitting here. Not me. I provide policy, I don't deliver, it's because of you. No man ngankwatela, it's true. You are the strategists. You are the implementers. You determine the pace and scale at which we move. It's not me. It's you sitting there. Why can't we make it happen? Because the one thing that I can assure you that I will do working with you is to make sure that the civil service is an employer of choice for you and your children. And that entails making sure that the workplace environment is conducive for you to perform, that our contributions to enhancing your life, we're busy now with the rolling out of the government employee housing scheme, we are rejigging everything, we're making sure that you are going to be happy in the workplace. But for what I give, can you also give to the people? Don't give to me. Give your people the best service, because what we are giving you as employees is the best. But at the same time, I will need to hear from you what makes it difficult for us to perform, and what are the solutions. Please don't send me problems, because I don't have answers. But point out the issue and a possible solution, and we can all work together. Have a wonderful public service month. Deliver the best that you can to our people. Put your best foot forward. With the best of luck, thank you very much.
To say, in an area where we have government not meeting the disability targets, why are we training interns with disabilities and then releasing them back into the society and not even caring in terms of where they go after their training in our departments?
The point that you raise about interns with disabilities is to really make sure that those people are absorbed in the system. And I don't think it's going to be difficult, honestly, because for the past 20-something years, we've been saying we need to reach at least 3%, and we've been unable to. And these people with disabilities come into the system, we let them go. Even if they do not have the requisite skills at that point, train people. Lead them into the right direction. You know where the positions are going to. Because I'm not saying let's give preference to people because they were interns, because everybody else needs to have a fair share at entry into the system. But for people with disabilities, honestly, I'm sure the rules can be relaxed. They have to be relaxed.
Are there processes in place out of your invitation that those of us that are kind to the young ones, is there a process in place? Are there policies that have been said? Is it possible you could be going more aggressive in clarifying to the people that are prepared? I have a host of them that are ready to leave. But the thing is, how comfortable are we in not having taken the opportunity to plow back and to prepare those that we should live in the public service, that we do not live a hollow?
I'm glad that you raised this issue, because the confusion has been caused to make us appear that we're wanting to get rid of people, as if people do not want to leave the system. And you're correct, there are those people who want to leave the system, if there are no penalties that are going to be incurred. And those people should really be encouraged by information being provided to them, for them to know that these penalties are not going to apply, this is what we're going to do. And by the way, as much as people have been saying we have budgeted for retrenching 30,000 people, we are actually budgeting for this one, which is early retirement and the employee-initiated severance package. The employer is not initiating anything. We've gone past that period. We're not even talking about it. But if you want to leave, the system is ready to deal with that. What needs to be done from the department is that we need to effectively communicate what the process should be and who qualifies. That we have not done. And I think that's the process that needs to be put in place.
I think, Minister, as women in the public sector, they are also facing real challenges in terms of promotions and what they have to give in order to get opportunities and promotions. They are expected to do things that are not aligned to their value systems.
Nelly, the issue of men asking for sexual favors is really bad. I think it is just cruel to the extreme that women will be expected to get recognition once they drop their panties. It's just not right. And managers must, in the harshest of terms, deal with sexual harassment in the workplace.
Why, as government employees, we are indebted, paying bonds, every month they are taking 7,000, 8,000, but you have savings in your pensions. Can government find a way to make sure that as government employees, those savings, they assist us to sustain the life now while also balancing the life in future?
I don't want the housing scheme as it is today because it's not too helpful. The bond repayments are high because you correctly say, we do not use that asset, Yama savings wako, as a guarantee or a leverage for you to get better and lower interest rates. And the discussion that I've had with the GEPF is exactly that. To use these savings as a leverage for us to bring down the interest rates. I don't want for all of you a bond interest of prime +1 or prime. I want way below prime for all of you. Because if I can save you 300 rands from your bond, I don't want you to use the 300 rands. I want you to put the 300 rands into a savings facility. Because we need to inculcate for the whole country a culture of savings. This is the best opportunity to start working on that because it has a positive effect on the economy. Let's do that.
So all in all, there's not really excuse why we cannot, as public servants, adhere to Regulation 13C and say it's the honorable thing to do, it's the right thing to do, focus on the work that we pay to do and leave business with the state for the economic actors that want to take up that role. Doing business with the state must not be confused with other remunerative work. It's two separate processes. I would like to indicate that the use of the financial disclosure framework to manage conflicts of interest is a policy position that is in line with the constitution of our country, but also to international instruments that we are a party to. And it's also a right step, a step in the right direction to put into action the National Development Plan. And the e-disclosure system is just a vehicle to get to a desired outcome where we have public servants that are really doing the right things and for the right purpose to deliver service to the people who needed it the most. Thank you.
For IR, for the public service, personally, I embrace it. I believe it's going to allow us to do what we are meant to do as human beings, which is thinking, right? It allows us to start thinking and come up with ideas of doing things differently as compared to what we have been doing for all along. So our main intervention is in and around skills development. Why is that? We require new ways of doing things. We need new ways we need to think different things that we have not been kind of engaged on. That is why, for instance, we are pursuing a skills development approach as of yesterday with DPSA, but even before that with National School of Government.
A lot of the organizations now are moving towards what you call a diamond-shaped organization, meaning that there's going to be a high degree of automation for a lot of the services if the service typology is direct to citizens. If you look at the National Health Insurance legislation, there obviously has to be insourcing of skills that may not be there in the specialist arena. So clearly the diamond-shaped organization is to take cognizance of what do you insource because we don't have that skill, and what do you automate in terms of the whole aspect of the digitization of services going forward, and what we would then call the aspect of e-administration. So quite a lot of strategy with regards to reskilling needs to happen in that space. When we joined the public service way back 33, 34 years ago, we had to start at the entry level. But our youth have got a message that no, that rule has fallen away. As long as I walk out of the university with a 3-year degree, I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and I want a German car with the window at the top, and my car must have wings and it must have front teeth and it must ready to fly. So when I get into the car park, I've arrived. None of you here arrived. There was a process to arrive. But for the youth, can you get the message that even though we are saying that the public service must open up to youth when we are allowing some element of a silver tsunami, it does not mean if I vacate my DDG post, that 22-year-old is wanting to come into it. They must also wait in the queue because you want it. And that is the message that doesn't seem to be getting through in relation to our youth.
At this point, we are going to take the pledge from the Department of Public Service and Administration by the Acting Director General. Let's welcome her back on stage, please, colleagues.
We, the public servants in the Republic of South Africa, affirm our commitment to upholding the values and principles of public administration enshrined in Section 195 of the Constitution and other laws, policies, and frameworks. Uphold the constitutional responsibility of the state, clearly articulated in the Bill of Rights, to deliver the services to the citizenry. We as the public servants commit to as contained in the Constitution, not to engage in any transaction or action that is in conflict with or infringe on the execution of our official duties, be honest and accountable in dealing with public funds, and use the property of the public service and other resources effectively and only for authorized official purposes. Good, sound, effective, transparent, and accountable administration. Acts against fraud, corruption, nepotism, maladministration, and any other act which constitutes an offense or which is prejudicial to the public interest. Demonstrate professionalism, competency, excellence, transparency, and impartiality in the performance of our duties. Not use our official position to obtain private gifts or benefits during the performance of official duties, nor accept any gifts, donations, rewards in cash, or benefits when offered, as these may be construed as bribes. Thank you. Well done. A round of applause to yourselves.
Ndate Emmanuel Khomo to come and do a vote of thanks for us.
First and foremost, I want to thank the Almighty for this day. My thanks to the Minister in absentia for allowing us the latitude to have this program running and for her leadership. I'm sure you will all agree that in her speech, she was quite encouraging and visionary in terms of what we need to do and how we need to go about our business as public servants.